My name is Chris. I'm a sales engineer at Tricerat, and today I'm going to show you Simplified Printing, Simplified Driver Management, and screwdrivers. Tricerat's printing solutions help administrators manage their printers easily and quickly in their environment, whether it's printers from a print server or redirecting printer in a virtual session. You can print any way you want to, from anywhere to anywhere. Tricerat allows you to manage all your printers in your entire environment from one interface. First, let's take a look at the end user experience. The end user experience is going to build the foundation for the rest of the product. So I'm on a simple Windows 10 desktop. The great thing about Simplified Printing and Simplified Driver Management and screwdrivers is that it can apply to any type of environment, whether it's just a general workstation environment or application servers or VDI or even terminal servers. You can use our solutions in any of those environments to manage your printers quickly and easily. Me, right here, is just in a simple RES environment, and I have a variety of different printers pulled up. I have a Ricoh, I have a Canon, Minolta, and a Lexmark. This is to show we are manufacturer agnostic. We work with all makes and manufacturers. We don't have a compatibility list because we just work with everything. And the reason we can work with everything is, if you notice, as I click through the different printers, they're not actually using their native driver, native print driver. They're using our universal print driver. And it's that universal print driver that allows us to build the printing queues and accomplish all the printing tasks within Simplified Printing or Simplified Driver Management or even screwdrivers. And just to prove to you real quick, you notice in the driver list, no Lexmark, no Canon driver, just our universal print driver. Now, one of the disadvantages of most universal print drivers is that you don't get access to all the features and functionalities that the printer can do. Well, that's not true with Simplified Printing. Even though this Lexmark driver is not installed on this workstation, I'm still able to pull up the native driver UI for this Lexmark printer. So you can do everything this Lexmark printer can do, even though you're not installing the driver. That includes advanced features like print and hold. That's your badge printing, your pin and release printing. If you need to add a watermark to the piece of paper, even overlays to the print job. Anything you can do with this Lexmark printer, you can continue to do with our products. So in this situation, you're getting the best of both worlds. From an administrator perspective, you're only installing a single universal print driver on all your endpoints. But from an end user perspective, they're getting printers that they're used to. So that learning curve is very minimal for your end users. Now, these 4 printers came up automatically as soon as I logged in. This is what we call admin assigned printers. Now, we also have a self-service side to all our products where you can allow your users to select their own printers for whatever task or job or location they might be. In order to do that, you pull up our user assigned printers tool. Now, we do have a list that gives you a list of all the available printers these users can have. But we also have a maps sections where administrators can place printers on a map, provide those maps to the end users so those users can quickly and easily look for the map, look for where they are, and then select a printer for that location. So let's take a look. Let's add a printer real quick. I'm logged in as a Stanley, so I'm going to go to my desk, click on my printer, and add printer. I click yes here to refresh the printers, and what this does is refreshes the printer's queues on the fly in this live session, so we can add that new printer quickly and easily. Okay. Now let's say I'm done with this printer. I can remove this printer just as easily. Come back to the maps, click the same icon, and then remove the printer. I just refresh my queues again, and then my printer queues are going to be torn down and rebuilt to not include that Ricoh printer we just added. So as you can see, very, very easy, very fast to get new printers or remove printers from an end user session. Now, you might be asking yourself, how do I manage these printers? How do I set up these maps? How do I add printers or assign printers to users? Well, that's where you come over to our Simplified Console. And the Simplified Console is the centralized admin UI for your printing infrastructure. This is how you manage and assign printers to your end users. A lot of information is on the screen right now, but as we walk through it, you'll see how it comes together pretty nicely. The high-level overview, though, is very easy. You select a user, you select a printer, and you drag and drop that printer for that user. And now the next time this user Fry logs into his workstation, his application, his virtual desktop, he'll get that Zebra printer automatically for him. But as we just saw, he can also refresh his printers on the fly to get that new Zebra printer, so he doesn't have to log off and log back in. So just hit that refresh button. We tear down the queues like we saw before, but now we're including that new Zebra printer that the admin assigned to me or to this end user for his endpoint. We switch back to the Simplified Console. You'll notice that there are 3 distinct panes in the console itself: the owner's pane, the assignments pane, and the objects pane. The owner's pane is, as you probably guessed, the users or computers in which you want to assign those printers to. I have a read-only version of my Active Directory, so you can assign printers to the user-based objects in your directory, including individual user, security group, or an OU. So just like with GPOs or Citrix policies, if I assign a printer to an OU, like I have here, this Canon is assigned to that Plan Express OU, any user or object in that OU is also going to get that printer. Click back on Fry, he is part of that OU, and you can see that the Canon is being inherited from this top-level OU right there. Now, this is just within an Active Directory. Well, what about locations? What about proximity? Location-based assignments. Essentially, you want to assign a printer based on where a user is instead of who that user is. You can do that with this section right here, where you can add an IP address range. Think guest Wi-Fi or floor subnet, an individual IP address for maybe your CTO or CEO, or you can even add machine IDs or host names for like thin clients or zero clients. The example I like to use is a kiosk. You have a guest kiosk and a guest printer. You don't want to assign a printer to that user or that guest who sits in front of that kiosk. You want to assign it to that physical location where that kiosk is, and you can do that right here. Another good example are nurses in a hospital. Nurses go room to room to room, so you don't want to assign printers based on that nurse username. You want to make sure that nurse has the right printer based on where they are, and you can do that in this section right here. You notice that there are groups as well. These are pseudo OUs outside a directory. So I can create a group, assign a printer to that top level group, and then add objects to that group, so any object in that group is going to get that top level group assignment. Again, sort of like OUs, but outside your directory. Come back and click on Fry again. We're going to skip over the assignments pane, and we'll come over to the objects pane. The objects pane are your printers and print servers in your environment. Here I already have a print server added, and the printers on that print server read and imported into Simplified Printing. But to add a new print server, very easy. Click New Object, give it a fancy name, and then type in the host name or IP address of that print server, hit refresh all printers. And when you do that, we reach out to that print server automatically and read all the information about those printers on that print server for you. You don't have to do each individual printer on their own. So that refresh or that reading automatically of the printers is great for when you do have a lot of printers on those print servers. I only have a dozen printers, but some print servers can have 1,000 printers, 500 printers. So it depends on the size, but that auto import is great for reading all the printers and information about those printers. When we do read those printers, we're also reading some information about those printers that we can use within the Simplified Printing product, including the printer name, the port that it's using, location-based information, as well as the driver that it's using. When we read this driver information, we're also reading the default driver settings. So if you have a printer set up for black and white or duplexing or pin printing, when you import or when we read that printer, we're also reading those default driver settings. So when you assign that printer to a user, you're also assigning those default driver settings as well. So you don't have to recreate those settings after the import. In addition, you can customize the naming convention of the printers. So you can make the printers named or viewed by the end users however you need them to do. This is great for legacy applications that need very particular naming schemes for their printers. You can customize that naming convention, that naming scheme, to pretty much whatever you need it to be. We do have a few presets, but again, there is a customized option, so you can make that name to almost exactly what you need it to be. You also have some advanced and extended options. These are more particular settings for particular situations. So if you have any kind of weird printing environment or weird printing setup, let me know. I can tell you how we can accomplish that in Simplified Printing. All right, so that is the objects pane. The assignments pane, the last pane, is where you combine the user and the printer itself. And again, it's a simple drag and drop just like that. You notice that there are 2 distinct sections: admin assigned printers and user allowed printers. We briefly touched on these before, but admin assigned printers are printers an administrator assigns to those users, so those printers pop up automatically for the users. So the users don't have to do anything, have any import to get those printers. Where the user allowed printers are essentially a list of printers that the user can add on their own. It's a self-service side to the things. And you can do it through the list that we saw, or you can use our map utility right here to place those user allowed printers on your map so those users can use their floor plans, their maps to add their own printers. This map management utility right here allows you to import maps, allows you to edit those maps with a simple right click. You see a list of all your printers automatically. Select that printer and add, and then right there it's just easily adding a printer to that particular map. And you saw that I could drag and drop it to a new location. So let's say this printer moves to Jim's desk. I can just drag and drop that icon, put it right there on Jim's desk, right there. And of course, deleting a printer is just clicking an X button. Very, very easy. What you're looking at right now is the Simplified Console. This is the centralized admin UI for your entire printing infrastructure. A lot of information on the screen, but as I walk through each of the panes, you'll notice how it comes together pretty nicely. The high-level overview is very easy. You select an owner or a user, you select a printer, and you drag and drop that printer for that user. And now the next time Fry logs into his workstation, his virtual app, his virtual desktop, he'll get that Zebra printer automatically for him. No interaction needed from the end user. So I touched on it a bit, but there are three distinct panes: the owner's pane, the assignments pane, and the objects pane. The owner's pane, as you can probably guess, are the users or computers in which you want to assign the printers to. I have a read-only version of my Active Directory to show that you can make assignments based on user objects in your Active Directory. So I can make an assignment to an individual user, as well as a security group, or even an OU. When I make an assignment to an OU, just like you do with GPOs or Citrix policies, when I make an assignment to a top-level OU, like I have here, this can is assigned to the Planet Express OU, any user or user-based object in that OU is also going to get that high-level overview, the top-level OU printer as well. The assignments pane allows you to view the assignments that that user or that object has, as you can see right here, and then you can deny certain assignments. Like I deny that OU printer right there. I can also delete certain assignments. So since this printer was assigned directly to Fry, I can delete it from his assignment pane. So you can do a lot of different things, and then you can also set the default printer from an administrator side of things. So if you as an administrator want them to have a default printer, you can set that default printer right here. So that is the owner's pane from an Active Directory perspective. But let's say you want to assign a printer based on a location, based on where a user is, instead of who that user is. You can do that with what we call location-based assignments. You can assign it to an IP address range, think guest Wi-Fi or floor, an individual IP address like someone's office computer, or even a machine ID or host name, think thin clients or zero clients. You can assign printers to those locations instead of to the users, so you can get the printer exactly where you need it. You can also create groups or pseudo OUs outside your directory. This is great for creating groups of locations, different floors, different offices, different zero clients or thin clients. So I can create a group, I can assign a printer to that group, and any object in that group is going to get that group level printer, as you can see right here. Okay, we're going to skip over the assignments pane real quick, and we'll come to the objects pane. The objects pane are where you are going to create your print server objects and import your printers into Simplified Printing. Very easy to create a new print server object. You just hit this button right here, you type in the name, the IP address, and then hit refresh all printers. And when you hit refresh all printers, we're going to reach out to that print server and automatically read information about those printers on that print server. This is great if you have thousands or hundreds of printers on a print server. You don't have to import each individual printer on their own. We'll just delete that right here, just like that. So I already have my print server imported, and the printers on that print server read. When we do read the printers on that print server, we read the printer name, the port or IP address that it has, location-based information you may have set up, but we're also reading driver information as well. And when we read the driver information, we're reading the default driver settings. So if you have a printer set up for, say, black and white, or for color, or for duplexing, pin printing, whatever, we're reading those default driver settings. So when you assign that printer to a user, you're also assigning those default driver settings as well. So you don't have to recreate those default driver settings after the import. Right, so you don't need different driver versions for different operating systems or different bits versions. A single best driver is all you really need. And then you would set up that driver and those default driver settings as you normally would for a normal Windows print server. If you don't have print servers, we have a product that allows you to manage native drivers across your environment. So if you don't have print servers or don't want print servers or trying to eliminate your print servers, you can use our Simplified Driver Management product, which is part of Suite, to get those native drivers over to those endpoints. This is great for just a general workstation environment where you just want direct IP printing on those workstations. Simplified Driver Management, which you see right here, allows you to manage those drivers and assign those drivers to individual users. So as we were doing with print server printers, the same process from the same interface is where you can also manage your native drivers. And it's just, again, a very easy drag and drop. I'm going to expand the section first, but a very easy drag and drop right there. And the next time Fry logs in, he's going to get that native Canon driver installed automatically for him. He doesn't have to do anything on his own. So again, two different products for two different types of situations or environments. If you want to continue to use your print servers, you're going to use our universal print driver on the endpoints. But if you want to eliminate your print servers or don't have print servers, you can use our native driver management as well. And that, again, is called Simplified Driver Management. We can go a little bit more into that and kind of see how that works in a second. But let's go back to Simplified Printing and the print server. One thing I do like to point out is our failover print server feature. And Microsoft 2012 R2, Microsoft disabled print server clustering, and this is our solution for that. It allows you to create failover print servers. So if something happens to your primary print server, it crashes or the network card goes up, we're automatically going to fail over to secondary or third or fourth print servers down the line. It's a huge list that you can create almost as many print servers as you need. The printers themselves can be customized. That includes a naming convention. So you can set up a naming convention or how the printers are viewed by your end users. And you can use one of our presets right here, or you can customize that naming convention to pretty much whatever you need it to be. This is great for legacy applications or applications that need very particular naming schemes for their printers. You can make sure you can get that naming scheme exactly how you need it to be for those applications for your users. Now we also have something called screwdrivers. Screwdrivers is built into Simplified Printing. It's not a separate product. And what Screwdrivers does is it allows you to manage redirected printing into virtual environments. Think taking a locally connected USB printer into a VDI session or into an RDS session. With Screwdrivers, we're going to allow you to help manage those printers, those redirected printers, all with the same benefits that you get with Simplified Printing. There are a few settings particular to Screwdrivers, including monitoring active sessions for changes to those local printers. Say you change your default printer on your local workstation. We can reflect that without having a user to log off and log back on. We also have that same naming convention as well, so you can customize those redirected printers, those naming schemes for those redirected printers, however you need them to be, as well as a lot of those advanced and extended options. And one thing I do like to point out is the advanced print features. With the redirected printers, you're still getting access to all those advanced print features. So it's the same process. They click print, they want to use those advanced print features on that redirected printer, so they'll see that native driver UI just as they normally would with a print server printer. All right, let's come over to the assignments pane. The assignments pane are, of course, where you marry or combine a printer and a user. And again, that's a very simple drag and drop interface, just like that. As we talked about before, the assignments pane allows you to do different things: delete assignments, deny assignments, set as default. I'm just going to delete that, get it out of the way. And I'm sure you also notice that there are two distinct sections in the assignments pane: admin assigned and user allowed. Admin assigned printers are printers you're going to assign to them as administrators that they'll see automatically as soon as they log in. They don't have to do anything to get those printers. Whereas user allowed printers are your self-service side, a list of printers that your users are allowed to add on their own should they want to do that. So if you want your users to add their own printers based on where they are or who they are, you can give them a list of printers or a map of printers to allow them to select their own printers in their environment. Now we saw the map section from an end user perspective. Let's see how that works from the administrator side of things. This is the map management utility. To add a map, very easy. Click the Add Map button, the Browse button, and then browse to your map. And they'll be in your list of maps right here. I already have a few, so let's take a look. We'll do the ER building map. This is just a floor plan of your map. It can be in a variety of different picture file formats. To add a printer to that map, very easy. You click the edit button, right click where you want that map to be, and then select your printer. The great thing is after you select the printer or in the location, you can move that printer around. So let's say Jim moves to Dwight's desk. I can move from an administrator side of things. I can move that printer around on that map. I can move this printer back over to the main workstation. So now everyone has access to it. So a lot of options and a lot of control you have on the map side of things to make sure the printers are exactly where they need to be. Once I set all my printers, just hit save. And once I hit save, now these printers are available for the end users to add to their session. So they can pull up their map utility, and then they'll see the printers on their maps, so they can add their maps on their own, or add their printers from the map on their own. So you set up your maps, you add your printers to your maps, and then once you do that, the users have access to those maps and access to their allowed printers. So instead of selecting from a list, now they're selecting from a floor plan and a location, make it that much easier on them. Okay, so that's it for Simplified Printing and screwdrivers. And again, screwdrivers is included in Simplified Printing. Now let's switch gears to Simplified Driver Management. This product works a little differently, and I talked about this briefly before. Works a little differently than Simplified Printing, where Simplified Printing is you install a universal print driver on the endpoints for print server management. Simplified Driver Management is about installing or managing native drivers on those workstations for direct IP printing. And this is all done without the need of a print server. So let's take it from the beginning. I'm on a print server that I want to eliminate in my environment. I use this driver management console to import the drivers that are already installed on my print server into Simplified Driver Management. You can see the list right here. I already have a few drivers imported, but to import new drivers from this particular print server, I just hit import drivers. I'll see a list of all the drivers and all the printers I have on this machine right in front of me, which is my print server, and I select the appropriate printer and driver. I can, of course, select multiple ones like that, so I can select 3 or 4 or all of them at the same time, but I'll just do one for now. And you saw the progress notifications, how fast it was to import that driver into Simplified Driver Management, very easy. And I can see my new list of drivers right here. So here's that Oki data printer driver I just imported, as well as the new HP drivers. Now these drivers are available and ready to be assigned, to be handed out to endpoints without this print server. Also, while we're here, let's take a look at importing network shared printers. So printers that are already on your network, shared out and ready to go. We have a network monitoring tool that allows us to scan the network for printers. I can see my printers on my network that are ready to be imported. I just select one, import selected printer, just like that. Close that, and you can see there's my new printer right there. So I have all my drivers, and I have all my printers ready to go. At this point, I can turn off my print server. I can recommission it. I can throw it out the window. Whatever you want to do with that print server at this point, we don't need it. Simplified Driver Management is done with that print server. So as I walk through the rest of the product, it's all going to be done without that print server. So if you don't currently have print servers, but you have a bunch of drivers on, say, an admin workstation or someone's workstation, you can use this tool to import those drivers from that workstation into Simplified Driver Management. So you don't need a print server in that classical sense. All right, so let's hand out some of these drivers. You use that same Simplified Console that we saw before with Simplified Printing. And you notice that it's all from the same interface. I'm not clicking new menus or going to different websites. I'm all in the same single pane glass view into my printing infrastructure. So I won't rehash the owner's pane or the admin's pane. I'll just come back to the objects pane to see how Simplified Driver Management works once I get those drivers imported. I have a few objects or printer profiles already added. But to add a new one, very easy. You click New Object up here. You give it a fancy name. We'll do HP this time. You type in the IP address of that printer. And then you just simply select the driver and set driver. And we're smart enough to know if it's a 64 or 32-bit driver and set it in the right location. And then hit the save button. And then once you hit save, that HP printer and print driver is ready to be handed out to your end users. So I'm going to collapse the print server side of things, open up the driver side of things, and you notice that Fry already has a Canon installed or assigned to him. But to assign a new printer, new driver, and again, it's the same drag and drop interface, just like that. Very, very easy. All right, let's see how this works from an end user side of things. Come over here to my session again. So I added a new printer. I added a new printer to my user allowed list, so I can log off, log back on. I'll get that printer automatically, or I can use the same tool and just refresh printers. And when we refresh printers, it's the same thing happening, except this time we're reaching out and we're getting that driver, and we're automatically installing that driver and adding that new printer queue to our session. It's going to take a little bit longer since we're actually downloading and installing the driver from Simplified Driver Management, but we can see how that works in real time. It's a small driver, so it should come up fairly quickly. We can kind of see the driver being installed in real time. See, there's that Canon driver. It's installed. You'll notice it wasn't here before. And now here's that printer right here, ready to go. And it's using the native Canon driver for direct IP printing. And again, to rehash, this is all done without a print server. You can also create or add those native drivers and native printers from Simplified Driver Management to maps as well. This is not exclusive to print server printing. These printers can be native printers and native drivers instead of print server printers with Simplified Printing. The entire Simplified Console allows administrators to be as granular and as flexible as they need to be in their environment. So some environments are quick and easy. Some environments you need a lot of control about which printers go where and to who. And the Simplified Console allows you to have that control to get as granular as you need to.